All right, guys, so for our fireside chat, talk about keeping on, getting the momentum going. We have the new rule in game marketing in 2026. So please, to discuss this topic, welcome Mr. Phil Mohr, the CEO of Metica. And joining him, we have Omar Ghanem, founder and chief executive officer of games.gg. Welcome, gentlemen. And please, the stage is yours.
All right, thank you. All right, Omar, how are we going to do this?
I don't know, you tell me. I'll take your lead.
Fair enough. So maybe I can give a little bit of background why we're talking about marketing. So I've been in gaming, but particular gaming marketing for about 15 years now. We actually started off, and not many of you probably don't remember, with Facebook games. So we were working with this really tiny game called Candy Crush. At the time, they had about 15,000 DAUs, and obviously sort of nicely grew.
Just a little bit.
Ever so slightly, yes. So we helped them actually engage their customers, build out CRM platforms for them, help with building live ops platforms. And what we really learned over time was that you had user acquisition teams driving the installs, and then you had the game teams that actually took these installs and tried to make money from them. But often they were very disconnected teams. At King, for instance, they were even sitting in different countries. So the marketing teams were in London, but the game team was in Stockholm. Yeah, they did talk, but they didn't really engage properly. So when we started our latest company, Metica, we were thinking, okay, what can we actually do to improve that? How can we bring all the different aspects from user acquisition to improving LTV inside the game together? And how can data help these teams to genuinely work as one? So that's sort of a big transition we're seeing, that there isn't a marketing team anymore. It's all a lot more integrated, and you don't have a single source of player acquisition. So to what you're doing, Omar, there are so many different sources. There are the traditional ads, obviously, Facebook, Meta, AppLovin, where you can do the acquisition, but there are so many other ways of doing it through, and maybe that's your part. What are sort of the additional sources you're seeing and you guys are providing?
Yeah, I think to your point, things have changed a little bit in the last couple of years. It's gone from, to your point again, marketing departments handling marketing, to now every company technically needs to be a media company, right? So not only do you need to make the product or service, you actually need to constantly be talking about it, constantly be acquiring users. And it's not that different for games. So with games, it's like you could build the greatest game in the world, but if no one knows about it, then it doesn't really matter. And I think in a way, it's gotten a lot easier to get your game out there, but it's also gotten a lot harder because of how much noise there is around. So, for example, you look today, any game that launches on Steam is not just competing with games in the genre or games that launch that day. It's competing with Battlefield. It's competing with Silksong. It's competing with everything else. It's competing with the news. It's competing with Netflix. It's competing with essentially whatever occupies your time. And so it's become more of a, how do you as a game publisher or studio capture time, and what methods are you going to use? So at games.gg, it's funny actually what we do, because it's a little bit of old techniques and a few new ones. So a lot of what we do is built on SEO, built on, just being there where people are searching for certain things. So what we do in a nutshell is it's a platform that allows you to discover games, potentially make a little bit of money maybe playing them through rewards, gift cards, that kind of stuff. But it's purely focused on you as a user. And to your point, data is what we're actually after. So it's a free platform. You can use it as much as you want. What we're getting out of it is we're looking at what games are you playing, how long are you playing them for, are you playing with friends, are you playing alone, are you spending money in game, etc. And then what that allows us to do is the next time you're on Twitter, we can show you something. The next time you're reading your email, we can drop you a game code. The next time you're on Instagram, we can put something in front of you. And that allows us to then, again, going back to your original point, market certain games that we work with where the users already are. So it's less about let's run ads and more about let's get in front of these users organically in their inbox and in ads. So it's almost a combination of all those three things.
Okay, so you're doing ads as well.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really prio ads as much. I think it's really easy to, how do I phrase this? It's easy to run ads. It's hard to run good ads, but it's easy to run ads. So we're not a paid media agency per se, but what we will do is, depending on what your KPI is, we'll get you there. So if you tell me like I'm after 100,000 Steam wish lists or whatever, like we'll get you there. How is a different question. It might be a post that goes viral. It might be a bunch of posts that do okay and ads. So it's really a combination of things. But I'm curious actually to hear a bit more from you. So with the experience from King, how has that changed to what you're doing today? Like, is it more of the same? Are you just following fundamental principles, or has that changed a little bit?
I think what really changed is the data that's actually available. So we can truly understand what's the source of install, what are players doing, and it should have always been connected, but it just wasn't, right? So we've actually truly connected it now. And if you look, the sort of evolution was more segmentation in the past, right? So games were treating players as different cohorts. And that's sort of stopped really, and it's gone much more to personalization. So we're actually treating each player individually now. And that is truly sort of a quantum leap. And there are lots of new techniques out there. So if we want to get a bit more technical, there are things like contextual multi-arm bandits now that can actually do
Fancy word. Do you want to break it down?
Yeah, sure. So you guys are all familiar, I guess, with A/B testing, right?
Yes.
So
That's
A/B
an easy
testing, you, let's say, have 4 variants, and you say, okay, I'll run this experiment for a month. What is the best variant? And after a month, you probably see, okay, variant C is really good. But what you've basically done is wasted traffic for 3 other variants for a month.
Yeah.
And you're still only optimizing for a global best outcome, which is okay if that's the only thing you can do. But now think about what you could do if the algorithm starts detecting much quicker which is the best variant.
Okay.
Not after a month, but starts allocating traffic much earlier to see, what's great.
So it's an improvement on A/B testing.
Yeah, so in the first step, and that would be a multi-arm bandit is improving. Because A/B testing comes from medical research traditionally, and we don't want to kill anyone. So it's good, it's very rigorous. But if you have a game with a few million DAUs, you don't really care if 2 people get a slightly bad treatment or a treatment that's not quite optimal, right? Whereas if it can help others to get a much better treatment much quicker, then that's a fair trade-off. But what contextual bandits then do, in addition to that, is they actually take your context into account, which then leads to the personalization element. So we'll see, okay, you're playing in Abu Dhabi, you're playing on an Android phone, or you're playing in Pakistan on a high-end iPhone. And you have taken up every single reward Omar has put in front of you.
Yeah.
That's a very different player, which means a different variant or different treatment should be shown to you. And what's quite nice is that all these techniques now are available at scale and truly lead to personalization. And then once you've done that, and you actually see what the LTV optimization and improvement is, you can then take that information and actually optimize the ads on the other side.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, I think in a way it's slightly similar to what we do on the user profiling side of things. So I think historically, and I know we were just listening to the gentleman talk about PlayStation and how things are going there. Historically, ecosystems have always been siloed off, right? So it's Steam is Steam and it doesn't talk to anything else. PlayStation is PlayStation, they don't talk to anyone else. Xbox, to be fair, Microsoft and Xbox are trying to kind of break the walls down a little bit with what they're doing with Steam, but they've all been silos, right? And so if I look at Phil's profile on Steam, he might be a completely different person if I look at his profile on PlayStation. Because me, for example, I play only Counter-Strike on Steam. And so you might think, okay, this is a guy that only plays Counter-Strike, he doesn't buy new games, he's only playing a free game, he's like not really worth that much as a user. But I play everything on PlayStation. All the single player games, all the campaign games, like every single game that comes out, I'm buying it on PlayStation. And so that's a very different profile. And if PlayStation looks at me, they're like, oh, he's a high potential user, he's a high spender. If Steam looks at me, they're like, oh, just like don't waste your time. What combining that data does is that it allows Steam to tap into the PlayStation data and vice versa. So you can make better decisions, to your point, where it becomes less about, how are you using my platform and my experience, and it just becomes more about who are you. Do you like single player games? Do you like multiplayer games? Do you like playing with friends? Like, it becomes a lot more personalized, and I think that's the only way you win in the age of AI, right? It's less about the content and the outcome, and a lot more about how do you personalize it. So if the game speaks to you, or if the experience or the ad, to your point, speaks to you, I think that's the real unlock there.
No, 100%, and that leads to more revenue for the games, and the game's doing better. But another big area where we're actually seeing the data being extremely useful is actually being able to provide more funding and more flexible funding for user acquisition spend for games. Because games have so much data, and they need money, right? So we had a lot of UA spend historically was financed through VCs. So people are raising rounds. That was pretty easy during COVID when valuations were stupid. You could raise money pretty cheaply. But now valuations have come down massively. There isn't as much money in the system. So games are actually looking for new ways to finance their spend. So what we, for instance, and there are quite a few other players out there as well, have done recently is to actually take the data from the games and say, okay, how well does the game do? How long does it take to pay back? Do you get your money back in 90 days, 180 days? And then based on that, actually start funding the UA spend to help games grow. And I think that will be a bigger trend, that data is used just for everything across the board.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting point. So if anyone's building a game on the, I guess, mobile games specifically,
we focus mainly on mobile, but we're starting to go a bit into console and a few other areas.
You should head up Phil for some funding for your UA. I'm actually curious because we were just listening to the panel before. I kind of already know what you think, but I want you to share maybe with the crowd a little bit, because that's a slightly different take. We're talking about change, and the blockchain is definitely a change in the gaming space. I have my own opinions. I'll keep them for now, but I want you to maybe tell me, what do you think? What do you think is going to happen with this blockchain gaming direction that's come up in the last, 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, so it's oh God, how much time do you have? So
a little bit of time.
I mean, if you just look through the hype cycle, right? A couple of years ago, it was super popular, and it was praised as the messiah that will solve all issues in gaming and will bring these amazing games, and players will have this great experience, and they can take their earnings from, I don't know, Candy Crush all the way down to Counter-Strike or something. That was sort of the dream that was being sold. And I think it's quite clear, and it should have probably been clear to everyone that that's just was never going to happen. Right?
I'll keep my comments to the end, but yeah, go on.
But what we're seeing, and the way I thought, okay, maybe this could be something where there was a lot of play to earn, and the last panel talked a bit about that. But we've seen recently, I won't name any names, but some big attempts for play to earn have actually stopped doing it recently, which I do think is a bit of an indicator. I think there are probably applications. I do struggle sometimes to really see why you would need a blockchain for certain things. So yeah, I'm probably slightly more on the skeptical side.
Yeah, it's interesting because we strongly believe in the blockchain adding value to the gaming experience. I think it's slightly different from maybe what the standard is, because play to earn itself as a concept is fundamentally broken, right? Like, you should not play games to make money. That's never been the goal. You always played games to have fun. Money was always just a byproduct that maybe you could have enjoyed on the side. I think the issue, to your point, was it was COVID. It was really easy to raise. People funded a lot, And so it took a couple of years. We're now seeing the effect of it. It took a couple of years for all these companies to not actually succeed, for us to realize, hey, the concept is broken. What I do think the blockchain adds in terms of value is actually, funny enough, to your point, that exchange of value across ecosystems. It's definitely a lot more real now than maybe it was 5 years ago, where you could fundamentally move money across different ecosystems through one simple thing. That could be a stable coin, it could be Solana, ETH, whatever. It doesn't really matter what it is, but it allows people that don't have bank accounts, it allows people that live in countries where it's really hard to get money between these ecosystems to actually do it. So that's one. Two is the immediate exchange of value, because I come from a slightly more of an esports background, and I saw kids, in Lebanon, 16 years old, they'd win 10, 20 grand, and it would take them 9 months to get paid. And it's fundamentally only because my bank needs to speak to the central bank, which needs to speak to your bank, which needs to prove who you are and why you got the money, and is it money laundering, is it terrorism? Like, it became such a pain to almost get money out of gaming, and the blockchain fixes that. And then the third point is opening access almost, so thinking about open source. So when we talk about our data layer, essentially, we can build it as a database, and it could just be closed off, and I can sell it as a SaaS model, and you can pay me monthly, and I can give you access to it. But if you build it on the blockchain, what it allows you to do is let anyone tap into it. So you can just look at the blockchain, identify something, and say, oh, this is a high-value user, let me go market to them, right? And that's not something that, a Steam is going to open from a database standpoint. So I do think there's value in it. I think the games are getting better. I think onboarding is definitely a lot easier. I don't think play to earn as a concept will ever work, but I think it's here to stay. It just won't matter as much anymore. So we won't talk about the same way we don't talk about AWS or Google Cloud or AppLovin or anything. We just say, like, this is a good game and I play it and maybe I'll make a little bit of money on the side. Like, that's the conversation that you're going to have.
But that's the value exchange, right?
Yeah.
So do you get anything else out that is maybe even a fun element?
I think some of the games are fun. Personally, I'm not going to lie to you. I wouldn't play any of them over like a Battlefield 6, for example.
No, what I meant, like, if the additional play to earn is actually a fun element, right? If you gamify it, if there's something about it that you get additional value.
My gripe is just with the two. I'm not about semantics. I don't care what you call it. I think perceptually and fundamentally, if you say play to earn, you just mess up the whole equation, because it becomes a job. And when it's a job, you don't have happy gamers in your community. You have almost workers in your community that are like, why am I not getting paid for this job that I'm doing? Which just flips the whole narrative around. I think that's our buzzer.
That I agree with. So, cool. Thank you.
Any final thoughts that you want to share with everyone here?
Look, I think the final thought is make an amazing game is the key. Yep. If you don't have a great game, it's not going to work. But don't think if you have a great game, it will work.
Yeah.
So always think about marketing as a really, really crucial part. And I've seen this with games that are actually successful. Yes, the game teams are being praised as being the heroes of having made this amazing game. But if we take Candy Crush, yes, they did. But if the marketing team wouldn't have been there and done a great job to spam Facebook at the time and get the word out, it would have never gone viral and made it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no,
Be a team player.
Yeah, I'd close with that as well. I think no matter what you're building, I don't know, you guys sitting in the crowd, if you're game developers or publishers or anything else, the number one thing that I can leave you with is you need to be a marketing company before you are the other thing. It's not about being a game studio. It's about being a good marketing company that knows how to market the game studio, because that's how you get players and that's how you make money. But Phil, thank you for your time.
No, thank you, Omar.